Hola amigos, welcome back to another episode of La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host Matthew Human here at Finca Vida Verde. My guest today is one of my neighbors, a lovely brother that I have so much fun with, Patricio Chao. And he's originally from Olivos, Argentina. He is the co-founder of local design and construction company called Connecta. He was an original board member of Alegria Eco Village, and he's got such an inspiring story. We're going to have a great conversation, so I hope you enjoy. Patricio Chao, my twin brother. Welcome,
Mano.
welcome to the podcast. Me.
Nice to be here.
Yes, thank you.
It's chilly, but nice.
I know it. I asked God for a sunny day, and
There's a cloud.
yes, thankfully, it's so nice to have you here. Finally,
Yeah.
um,
I asked you so many times, and finally.
yes, I know. I know it. You know, I have a long list of invitados. Like it's a thing.
Uh-huh.
So what do we start with? I guess we start with I want to start with history. So let's start with your history. You're from Olivos. You're from the olives of Argentina.
Argentina, yeah. That's close to the capital city, but we like to think that we're not like the people from the city, so that's why I said Olivos.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to go back in history.
We're going
Like
back
50 years back.
50 years. Wow. 50 years. Your birthday's coming up soon.
January 5th.
January 5th. And you're going to be
Planning-
50.
Yeah, 50, so maybe planning a nice party.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I just actually up at Mar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just went up there for the first time, actually.
Mhm.
It's beautiful up there. It's dangerous to drive out of, though, especially if you've had a couple.
I never have anything to drink, so.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not. Okay. So Olivos, tell us about Olivos. What's it like there?
For me, at least, like a beautiful place. Riding my bicycle, playing football in the streets. I went to school there.
Soccer, football,
No, football.
American football.
No, football.
For you Americans, it's soccer.
Uh-huh.
For everybody else in the world, it's football.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I went to school there, just maybe 15 blocks from my house. All of my friends, I grew up with a lot of friends from there, neighborhood. So
Nice.
beautiful memories.
Beautiful place.
Beautiful memory. Yeah, beautiful place.
Is it mountainous or is it like?
No, really flat, like the Pampas. I know if you heard that.
Nope.
Pampas. That's
Bumpus.
the name for the huge, very flat extensions. Excellent for growing
Crops.
crops. Yeah.
It was a big olive growing region.
No.
Called Olivos.
There's no olives there. I don't know why it's called Olivos.
A place called Olivos.
Yeah.
And no olives.
Exactly, like Atenas here.
There's no Athens.
Yeah, of course.
but that makes at least a little more sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so and then so you grew up there, and then when did you move out?
Well, I actually lived there for almost all my life.
Really?
Yeah, only when I was, because it's really different. In Argentina, the people who go to college, which is, I would say, maybe 10% of the whole population, except for the people who live in like remote places of the country and they need to go to the big cities to study. But we just try to study just around the places where we were born. The system is really different. So I just went to college there.
What did you study?
Business,
Business.
which I hated from day one.
Really?
Of course.
Why'd you do it then?
Because I did not follow my heart. When I think I was 10, 11, I traveled to Patagonia. Have you heard of Patagonia?
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of the most.
That's the mountainous region in the south, right?
Yeah, there's mountains, there's lakes, there's also flat areas, which Patagonia is really huge extension and very different landscapes. So, yeah, I traveled there when I was maybe 11. I just loved it, fell in love instantly. And it's like a 1,000-mile road trip from Buenos Aires to the area where.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a big country, yeah.
Yeah, so I loved everything, and
Wow, that's wild.
I saw this tiny like log cabins in the national parks, and I saw the park rangers there, and I said, "This is what I want to be."
Really?
Of course.
Wow.
But then I studied business.
And then you studied business.
Yeah, so I felt like it was so beautiful to be there, of course, but also try to protect those areas and take care of that beautiful.
So you've always had like
Natural.
an environmental
Yeah,
side
of
of you.
course. Yeah, I was 11 when I went there for the first time, and I just loved just watching nature. At that time, like 40 years ago, it was pristine, and very, very few people living there. And so it was beautiful. And really, I thought of doing, while I was growing up, I thought, yeah, this is maybe what I want to do. But then I was not brave enough, I guess, or I think then, these things about how am I going to support myself, or if I have a family. And so money is important. And yeah, so all of those stuff.
Right. You didn't have a family, or did you?
No.
At that point.
No, at that point.
No.
I was 18 when I had to make my decision about
What you want to do.
exactly. So
It's not fair. That's not fair. 18-year-olds in this society are
Well,
too young to like know
yeah.
what they did. You need to have. I'm a big fan of like the gap year idea. Like you take a year off after college to like, or after high school to like work and just figure yourself out.
yeah, at least a year. And
At least a year.
yeah, but that's what I did. So I studied for 5 years business.
And you,
I hated it. Like the first from day one, I hated it. Yeah. But I was with
painful to hear this. Like I hate. You must have not been happy for a while. Then.
well, I had a lot of fun with my friends because I went there. I went to college with a couple of friends, and we made more friends there, and so that was like compensating a little bit.
So you was the social. You enjoyed the social. Aspect
Yeah,
of it.
a lot, exactly.
Okay.
And yeah, it's really different. I didn't live in that place where I studied. I just traveled every day to the university, which was maybe 45 minutes away from my house.
Mm.
I did the trip with a couple of friends, so it was fun. Yeah, fun.
Good.
But then
Every day.
the problem was that when I ended my studies, I had to work.
Right. Because did you have bills to pay or?
No, I lived with my parents. That's another thing that's really different in our culture or system.
Yeah.
Man, it's expensive to move out of your parents' house.
Right.
And you don't have credit so if you want to buy something or rent, you need to have money. And well, I lived in a very big house, so it was perfect.
You had a lot of space. And in Argentina, was college free or did you have bills? Or somebody else paid? Or?
No, I paid for it, but it's not nearly as expensive in the U.S.
Uh-huh.
It's like, yeah, you could afford it.
That's cool. And then
People.
so I know that when you first got here, I remember you telling me that I was like, wait a minute, what? You were in Pharma for a long time. Hey, I mean, come on, dude. I told you, the history is going to come out here.
Yeah.
Pharma is,
I didn't know we were gonna.
we're gonna dig up the past.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's why I mentioned I had to work. So it was really when I think that what I did is, the way you get a job in Argentina usually is when you finish your studies, then you try to have interviews in some kind of company, whatever. So what I did, I'm talking the year 1996. So
96. It's great music that year. 96 was good. It was like Smashing Pumpkins, Weezer. Great music.
grunge. I always want to listen. You play something that you never do. Okay, so I sent a lot of my resume, which was like this nothing. Like
Small.
yeah, nothing.
You didn't have any experience.
But which were the companies that I targeted, like Shell,
No.
Exxon,
Oh.
American Express. I don't know, like big.
Big companies.
Yeah, because that's what I was trained for. So
In Argentina or outside of
no, in Argentina.
Oh, yeah.
And I was very lucky, and I got a job in Exxon, the oil company. And the thing.
La Vida Verde podcast, sponsored by Exxon.
Yeah, the thing with the Exxon Valdez, you remember that?
Oh yeah, that was was that even down there somewhere?
No.
No, it was in Alaska.
Yeah.
Right.
I was very proud to join a company which is like ruined one of the most beautiful pushing systems. Yeah, but that's what I was trained
for those of you young people watching, Exxon Valdez was and don't follow his example. It was in a big oil spill. It was an oil tanker that got like turns out I think the captain was drunk or
totally
something.
drunk.
And like he's ended up how did it crash into an iceberg?
He was drunk. No, he crashed into like big rock.
A big rock. And it spilled like millions of gallons of oil or something.
Really sad.
In the most pristine wilderness. Okay, so you decide, and you saw that, and you're like, I want to work with those people.
You know, actually, this is true. The captain, he was not fired, and what he did was he went all around the world giving this
talk,
industrial security talks. Yeah, and we also it was kind of weird. You know, you had random alcohol and drug tests, but for everyone in the company, for everyone, and it was really serious. They would just randomly like pick someone from the office, or they had also a big, how do you call this, refinery?
An oil refinery.
Yeah, so anyone could be tested for drugs or alcohol.
Wow.
So you really needed to be careful.
Was this a problem for you?
Would that have been a problem for you?
I remember the first time I was told I was going to be drug tested. They told me I was going to be tested, and it was for BP. I was working for British Petroleum. I was working but I was in the gas station. I was 19 and working night shift, and I had a job opening, and I saw it was right next to the Burger King that I worked at. So I went from Burger King next door
to the criminal record
to the BP, and I remember they're like, we're gonna test you, or come in, we have to give you a test. So I was really, really fucked up. I mean, I was like, I started like researching drug tests, like asking I just barely smoked weed back then, but I did smoke pretty good amount of pot. Anyways, I'm like, oh God, I'm not gonna get this job. Like I started drinking pickle juice, vinegar, and then I got one of these like, bottles that you buy it. Like back then there was like the head shops, like where you bought all the bongs and pipes and stuff. And they had this little bottle. It was a liquid gel, and it was like a goo, and you would drink it all down, and it was supposed to help you pass a drug test. And I was ready. I was like, and I was still nervous. I'm like, oh, fuck, I think I'm still gonna fail. And I got in there, and they're like, here's your test. And it was like a random like questions about like, would you steal from our company if given the opportunity? And I was like, oh no,
I don't.
That was the test. There was no drug test.
No, this was for real.
Yeah,
real. And
did you ever fail?
We don't need to talk about.
Okay, there's some things that are off the record.
I don't think I was ever tested.
Okay, good.
I didn't. No.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you mentioned Pharma.
Yeah. So how did you go from Exxon to Pharma?
Yeah, well, my boss, he left the company, and then he invited me to join him at Merc. Merc, the Merc & Co., the big, huge...
What are they known for? What is Merc known for? I've heard the name. I know it's a big pharmaceutical company. I don't know what they do, though.
Give me your sales pitch. Zocor for cholesterol, but that was like made 25 years ago.
Before it was made illegal, and they found out to give you this can.
Yeah, it could melt. Well, actually,
may cause sleeplessness, diarrhea.
You're making me remember like awful things. Like I was hired. Actually, I was hired they were launching a new drug called Vioxx. Vioxx for pain, for acute pain and also chronic pain. And it was like the most important launch in more than maybe 10 years. So lots of money in there and lots of doctors.
It was an opiate?
No. No.
Okay.
And so 1 year later, they find out that it caused a stroke.
Great.
So, yeah.
It causes your brain to stop functioning.
So you wouldn't feel any pain. Yeah. No, so, yeah.
You won't feel any pain because your brain does not have oxygen.
That's how it worked.
Oh, my God.
Killed you. And so, yeah, it was withdrawn from the market. So that was my first experience.
After how long of being on the market?
1 year. Approximately 1 year, yeah. And this is totally true.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then I continued to work. At first I was really thrilled because I felt that I was going the right way.
You felt you were doing everything right.
Yeah, because I was kind of successful. I was young, maybe 23, 24, 25, and I was traveling business around the world and meetings in like beautiful hotels and cities. And
Nice, beautiful, beautiful money. You had to travel.
I still
meeting
live,
beautiful
I still
women.
live with my parents. And so, it was like I was like following the steps perfectly, but something didn't felt right inside of me, And many times when I was at these big meetings, I just felt totally different from the rest of the people there, and I started feeling that more and more and more and more and more. So maybe I worked for like 15 years for different companies, then Novartis, the big Swiss company, and then for...
They're pharmaceutical as well?
Yeah, Novartis.
Okay.
Here. Yeah.
I don't take it.
You don't take...
I don't know any of these. I stopped in this world a long time.
And then
Accutane.
I had my first, said, okay, I've had enough of this. So I moved to a little village in the hilly countryside in Argentina. I went totally off-grid, solar-powered house, everything.
Really?
Yeah.
When was this?
2012.
Okay.
So, yeah, the world was supposed to end, so I said, okay.
Mayan calendar. Yeah, but anyway.
I better have my solar house, so I'm going to survive.
Oh, so it was a fear thing.
Yeah.
What about Y2K? And then Y2K you weren't worried about?
No, I was only worried about my Excel spreadsheets,
Oh, yeah.
but
Right.
nothing else. But
Okay.
yeah, and so I moved to that place, and I went to a kind of remote area. I built my house there, and it was quite like my fantasy.
You built a house.
Well, I paid for it.
But
I helped build it.
But it wasn't there. You made it happen.
Yeah.
That's called building a house.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
building
I
a house.
thought you meant if I was actually the guy.
You didn't get up and bang the hammers.
No.
Well, I didn't bang the hammers on this, but I still built this. I mean, I managed the project. I designed it. You know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah, so I built a house.
Yes.
Okay. And so, at first it was like paradise for me. And that feeling lasted for maybe 2 months. And then I started feeling that something was missing there too. And I realized that, I wanted to be with people.
You were isolated.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I'm sure most of us have seen the Into the Wild.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that film I think it was around that time. I'm not sure, but this thing about like happiness can only happen when it's shared or something like that.
It's really amazing, actually. That film, Carlotta also, like we had Carlotta Rinaldi on. She also talked about Into the Wild. It's really amazing, like how a movie like that can have such an impact on people.
Yeah, but that's, I think...
Say it again.
Like happiness, no, I'm going to say it wrong, but like can only happen when it's shared with other people, like when you're sharing with other people. And I was missing that. And actually I started having panic attacks.
Wow.
Yeah, because I really did. When I moved to that little town, I bought a small hotel, like a hostel. The story it's kind of long and crazy, so I'm not gonna go into.
That's great. You forgot you owned a hostel.
Yeah, but I rented it to my ex-wife because I moved to this tiny place with my ex-wife.
But you were married.
No, I was. We had already been apart for more than 8 years.
We skipped all that whole thing.
I was married. Yeah, I was married. Yeah, but maybe for 15 minutes. So.
Okay. Married for 15 minutes, divorced, moved to this, gotta go out to the hills.
Yeah, and so I thought, I don't know how I thought this, but I thought that I could work with my ex-wife. And after 2 days, I realized that was not a really good idea. So I ended up renting the place to her, and I just moved to my house. And yeah, at first I was like, I had a nice garden, my, I don't know, tomatoes, this, whatever. But yeah, 9 a.m. in the morning, and I had already done everything that I had to do. So then I started doing weird things, like I had a small swimming pool. So I became kind of obsessed of having it really clean. So what I did is I have like the goggles, go into the water. And I had this kind of little net.
Yeah.
but it's
Catch
like
everything.
the pole
Yeah, the
net.
pole.
Yeah, but so I used to dive into the pool with the net. I took the net from the pole, and I was looking for very small bugs.
Particulates and parts.
Yes,
Oh
like
my God.
tiny bugs. So this is going to be perfect.
So you got a little obsessed.
No, and what happened is I was doing that once, and I felt like short of breath, and I said, oh, of course, I'm under the water, so I'm going to go up and breathe. And it was kind of strange. So I went down into the water again, and the second time, just when I came out of the water, my mind just blew up. Okay, and
That was
I have heard about panic attacks, but I had never ever experienced something that, and I remember I thought this is a panic attack.
you knew it.
Well, it like I have read about it.
That's actually really helpful because I've had panic attacks where I was like, what is going, if you don't know what's going on, it's way scarier, because if you can at least understand, like, okay, this is what's happening, you can try and calm yourself down a little bit, but if you don't know, you're like, what is going on?
And it was when I think about it, I was naked with goggles and holding the nets in my hand. Yeah, so I ran. What I did? I just ran into my room. I had an iPod at that time, and I started listening to the meditation. Yeah, and so for it went away, but then they
Kept recurring.
yeah, all the time. And the only thing that made me like feel peaceful was thinking of my daughter or calling my daughter, and I would say, do you want to go for ice cream? And well, she was 9 or 10 at that time.
Your daughter with your ex-wife. That was the...
Yeah, three of us, we moved there. And so, yeah, I said, what's going on? I moved to this place. This was supposed to be my perfect fantasy. And so something's not working. And then I realized that, I needed more social interaction, and hopefully with people who were aligned with my vision of life. The reason I quit my job is because I realized that what I was doing was just following other people's, I don't know, plans, maybe.
desires for you.
Yeah, of course.
You were fine. So you... Wow, that's amazing. It's a beautiful, like, this is a wake up. It's a dark wake up, but like, thankfully. And so then what did you...
Yeah, I went back to Pharma, of course.
Back to Pharma. Of course.
Of course, because that kept me busy.
So you took a break. You were off the grid. You stopped
maybe
working.
3 years. Yeah.
You stopped working.
No, yeah, I
Bought
stopped
the
working.
hostel.
I bought the hostel. I had the income from renting that to my ex, so I could live. The story with me is my mother died when I was 28, so I inherited some money. So I had some savings, and I had the income from the rental. So I just put in that the place where I lived. I just could stay this way forever.
Yeah.
But then came the panic attack, so I said, okay, I need to live.
And what year was that?
That was 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went back to doing what I
New.
knew. Yeah. But
Makes sense. It's something stable. You kind of knew that world.
But I also I didn't want to. I knew that was just temporal. So I was thinking, what do I need to do different? And I realized that I needed to be in the place with people who I felt like good with, in terms that shared a vision and some basic values. Because I don't know if you know, but the pharma industry is quite corrupt.
I can't imagine.
And then
And unethical.
and in places like Argentina, that goes to like the different levels. So I'm not proud of many things that I've done there, but I always felt it was wrong, but I just kept doing it until I finally had my second awakening. And
let's hear about what was the second awakening. The first one was panic attacks.
Well, I had one before, but let's say panic attacks made me realize that it was okay to be in the nature and everything, but I needed social interaction with people. Okay. That's what I realized. So, it's also quite a long story, but I also quit my job after I went back from the panic attacks. I said, okay, this worked for a while, but I cannot do this anymore. So I remember something really funny, at least for me. Do you know the song from Frozen, Let It Go?
Let it go.
Yeah.
I never saw Frozen. I'm gonna be honest, but I only know that song because every child in this valley for 3 years I had to listen to that song from every child's
The
mouth.
lyrics, they're great. And yeah,
Let it go.
no, but also it's time to see what I can do to break to something.
Can you sing it for us?
No.
Please.
Well,
Let it
maybe
go.
later.
Let it go.
No, human, please. Yeah, I don't care what they're gonna say. That's something.
I don't care what they're gonna say. No, I don't know.
Yeah, it goes something like that. Yeah, and so you know what I did? I when I drove from my house to work, I used to listen to that song and even cry because I felt so like
It's heartbreaking, Patricio. For real.
yeah, and because what I heard is, well, this is what I need to do. Like, tell everyone to fuck off and just do what I feel. And so I quit my job. And when I made that huge decision, because I didn't have a plan B, but I said, I'm not doing this anymore. And then like things started happening like one after the other. Like I opened a Tinder account profile and I met a girl who was like, she had some nice pictures, but not like really crazy Tinder stuff. But she the only thing that she wrote was Venus in Aries. And I said, okay, what is this? Is kind of a code. So I went to check what Venus in Aries was, and it's all about like sexually free and amazing and yeah. So I said, okay, help me match, and so we did match. And
Your second awakening was Tinder.
and so well, she was a very spiritual, beautiful lady, and she introduced me to ayahuasca.
Wow.
And yeah, that was we had this beautiful ceremony together with other people. Also, we did that, and that's starting also like thank you God. The clouds and the breeze. Yeah, and so yeah, that was like kind of the first step. The Tinder account was kind of the first step. I went to this ceremony, and then I was with a friend telling him about the ceremony, and he said, "Oh, I met a woman who does this very interesting therapy, like cellular memory or whatever." And then I went to see this woman, and she did something really interesting, and she had a lot of books, and she picked a book, and she opened it, and it was Eckhart Tolle, and she started reading about how does he call it in English? Bueno, I will not remember.
Okay.
I will. And so I was really interested about this concept. What is the pain body? The pain body. So she read that and it didn't understand, but it was really interesting. So I started watching Eckhart Tolle's videos, and he talked about the ego, and I said, well, that's what I've been doing, living in my ego all of my life. So that was
Versus with the alternative being living in your heart.
of course,
Yeah.
like a conscious being, living in your heart. And so I watched hours and hours. I read his books, and
Amazing.
and it was like he wrote this for me. Everything, every single paragraph I read, it was like, this is me. This is what I've been doing. And so, yeah. Then like things magically started. Like I was fed up of Argentina. Remember, I quit my job, but I was not doing anything else because things were going really like to hell. And my daughter was 18 at that time, and she suddenly said, okay, I would love to go study to the U.S. And since I was divorced, and well, I broke up with the Venus in Aries, but he introduced me to a new life. So I'm very thankful for that.
Thank you, Venus. Thank you, Venus in Aries.
Thank you, Paz. That's her name.
Paz.
Paz. Peace. Yeah. And so, then when my daughter said, I want to move out of Argentina, I said, I'm free to do whatever I want. And so my sister, thank you, Meli, for this, she found about Alegría. And then I went to the webpage and I read what was there. And I said, this is exactly how I want to live. I didn't know. I'd never been to Costa Rica. I knew about the country because I had a lot of friends coming for.
You never worked here, though.
No.
They just came for vacations and stuff.
Exactly. And so, yeah, that's how I ended up here. And
It's amazing.
yeah, and
What a journey.
yeah, and it's the journey continues because I came here with a lot of expectations, and lots of those were just trashed. And
What were your expectations? I'm curious.
well, like many things, doesn't matter.
But we don't have to. Okay, we don't.
Yeah,
have to dig
but-
into that. But I'm just curious. Like,
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not. It hasn't been an easy ride. Like for anyone, and I think we all go through the same thing. Like
Totally.
that's why I mean about expectations and everything
Yeah.
being perfect. And
no,
no, and
not
what-
life. That's not what this
yeah,
guy's
and
about.
what has been really interesting, challenging is human relationships. And I moved to Costa Rica about 2 years ago, and what's been the most challenging thing is human relationships.
Totally.
I've gone through really intense, all kind of relationships in this 2 years, and with people who I didn't even know. So we didn't have a past. But yeah, it's really interesting, challenging situations. But I feel like it's kind of my personal journey and growth, of course. Like,
Dharma.
yeah, but now I'm living in a beautiful place. I love the nature here. And also there's this social community concept which I love, and this is totally new for me, and I guess for most of the people who decide to move here. And so
And it's the hardest part. I mean, like you said, the human relations, human connections. I mean, this is why I realized this early on living here, being part of this community. Like in Tacotal, we're a very even more, in some ways, it's even more challenging because we had to make all of our decisions together. Like we didn't have a choice. We own this land together. We make all decisions. We were a consensus-based community. We were basically a commune back. You know what I mean? Like, and I realized that I was just like, wow, humans are not like modern humans, modern Western humans are not designed. We have forgotten how to connect, how to work together, and we've forgotten how to like. We're all very attached to our own ideals and egos, and like that's a huge learning for most people. Because the idea of community is very. We all know that this is important. It's beautiful, but like in practice, it is so much about the interpersonal, like how you show up and how you respond and how you. Gosh, it's just like a big friggin' mirror right in front of your face too. Like you see all your shit. Okay.
And so exactly, that's exactly what I think most of us from all over the world, we're moving here. We have an idea of what we want, but then we start walking, like having our daily experiences, and everyone, we need to find out what to do. Like I started business here, and it's really challenging to try to see business in a different way and not reproduce what I've been trained for and not what I've done my whole life. So
Right.
And I see in many of our clients that it's the same thing. Like we know what we want, but it's really different to detach from what we're carrying inside our backpacks or our conditionings and our learnings. And
Right, and you're talking about Connecta. So Connecta is you and Silas company, and Marcelo was also an original founder.
the founder.
And now it's just you and Silas who are the primary principal owners, and it's a design and construction company, and you've been contracting with locals to build homes.
yeah, that yeah.
And Silas also comes from a traditional business background, right?
Yeah, but he's Tico.
Yeah, I know he's
He left Costa Rica when he was 8.
yeah. But he grew up in the States. He grew up in Boston.
I think about around 30 years.
Yeah.
There. Yeah. But yeah, we try to do things in a different way, but it's kind of hard. Like we try to hire people locally, and that's a challenge because the expectations of people who move from first world countries, at least, it's like we want this quality, and we try to bridge the gap, and it's not sometimes.
It's super hard, but it's beautiful that you're taking that on and willing to do that and willing to, because somebody has to do that. I also think, it's telling that you're like acknowledging the challenge, because I think, it's easy to just be like, oh, everything's great. Like But the truth is, it is really hard, and you're acknowledging your own, like, you know, like saying, like, I come from this world, and I'm acknowledging, like, this is not the way forward. But that shows a lot of, to me, that shows integrity. That shows that you're willing to do the work that it takes. Thank you.
Gracias.
Yeah, bro. I see you. I see you, Patricio. Oh man. Well, and I mean, people may not know this. Also, beyond being the Connect, which is your amazing. Like, if people want to get a hold of you, first of all, how can they do that? Like, somebody's coming to this area, they want to get a house built. Are you guys taking on new clients?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Well, just get in touch with Silas or myself.
How?
Just info at connectacr.net.
Info at connectacr.net.
Connectacr.net.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah.
People also don't know that you are DJ Patricio.
Yeah, I specialize in late night parties, but yeah.
Or he's either the starter
Uh-huh.
or the closer. This is how DJ Patricio works.
80s slow, like love song.
Slow jam.
Yeah.
But dude, this is my love.
You've been to some parties that I've DJ'd and they were a fiasco.
No, but it's amazing. I love that. But it's so funny. Like, this is one of those weird places that we both meet, is like the 80s ballads, the nostalgia of 80s ballads.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, the Bon Jovi and the Journey. Poison. Flesh and blood, sacrifice. Yeah.
REO Speedway.
My first tape was actually Poison, Flesh and Blood. Do you remember yours?
My first tape like
Well, you started. You're You're 7 years older than me, so you were.
cassette.
Did you start with cassettes?
Yeah, of course. What did you start with?
Cassettes.
And also the records.
I didn't have. Well, we didn't have records. Well, I mean, my family had records, but I didn't have a record. I never had a record.
I think it was some kind of Argentinian rock music. I don't know exactly which one.
What's the first one that you remember? What's the first tape that you're like, that one, or the first album?
I think it was Guns N' Roses.
Use Your Illusion.
I think no, way before the first. I think Lies. I think it's called Lies. Where Patience is, that slow ballad.
And no, because I'm missing you.
You could bring your guitar.
No. This is my podcast, bro. We interview you. Okay. Well, this has been super fun conversation. I know you actually have to get going because you have to get to
I'm already late, so.
Municipality. So you're working with the local.
Yeah, that's something I
watershed.
really, really enjoy. Like it's been really easy for me, like speaking Spanish and being Latin American. I think that makes it really easy. And I've made a lot of friends outside of the international community, and I really enjoy trying to do something for the community. So, now we have a meeting with the commission for the trying to take care of the
watershed.
Machuca River. Yeah, the watershed, Machuca River, and Jesus Maria, which is another river here. So
Yeah,
I'm not ready late for the meeting.
Okay, well, let's get you there. Patricio Chao, thank you so much, my pleasure. Yeah, I always love having you here. This is La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Human. My guest today was Patricio Chao. Connecta, you can get a hold of him through the website. We are releasing episodes every Tuesday, and you can find us on YouTube at La Vida Verde podcast. We are on Spotify and Apple Podcast as well. You can get a hold of us through Instagram at Finca Vida Verde CR, or on Facebook at Finca Vida Verde. And please, 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 if you love our episodes, if you love these, join our Patreon. I think we have one patron right now. I mean, really, we would love to have your support if you love these podcasts. And that's patreon.com/La Vida Verde podcast. It's been a great episode. Thank you, my brother. We'll see you next time. Pura vida.
Ciao, vecinos.
Ciao, vecinos.